time, I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders to order. Everybody please rise. Moment of silence, and I ask that you please pray for Margaret Pemberton's mother, who is currently in the hospital, and also for the safe return of our troops. Dennis Arami, salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, has been complied with and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett.
Here.
Freeholder Delina. Freeholder Polos.
Here.
Freeholder Rios.
Here.
Freeholder Scott.
Here.
Freeholder Valenti. Freeholder Director Rafano.
Here, I'd like to mention both Freeholder Delina and Freeholder Valenti called me, and they're not feeling well today, so they're not here, obviously. Proclamations, commemorative resolution. I'm sorry. Reports of Freeholders. Freeholder Carol Barrett.
Yes. Thank you, Director. On tonight's agenda, the board will be requested to approve resolution number 10-81, which approves a contract with Safeguard Document Destruction Company, a company that provides mobile paper shredding services. A total of 27 mobile shred events are scheduled for 2010. At these mobile paper shred events, residents are provided the opportunity to actually observe their documents being shredded. Since July 13th, 2005, with the inception of our mobile paper shredding program, over 9,700 county residents have delivered almost 700,000 pounds, or 318 tons of documents for recycling to our 94 shred events. This is free to county residents. It's one of our probably most successful endeavors that we have, and all of the county residents should really take advantage of it. The first event of 2010 will be held Saturday, March 20th, at the Old Bridge Public Works Facility on 1 Old Bridge Plaza between the hours of 9 and 1 p.m. Or until the truck is full, whichever occurs first. Details on this program, you can contact the Middlesex County Division of Solid Waste Management by calling the division at 732-745-4170. Again, that's 732-745-4170. Also, I would like to give a little report on some of the new laws for disposal practices for household batteries that are changing in Middlesex County. Alkaline batteries now fall below federal and state hazardous waste standards and should be disposed of in the regular trash. Alkaline batteries include AA, AAA, CD, and 9V, and will have the word alkaline printed on the battery. Everyone should recycle rechargeable and button cell batteries, whether generated at home or work. Both rechargeable and button cell batteries must be properly prepared before drop-off, as new federal regulations have been enacted to prevent the short-circuiting of batteries during transportation. You must individually bag each battery or tape each terminal end prior to recycling. Again, if anyone has any questions, you can call 732-745-4170 for a list of sites. And again, I have to, rechargeable batteries can also be recycled at participating retail locations, including Radio Shack, Best Buy, Staples, Target, Office Max, Lowe's, Home Depot, Sears, Walmart, and Verizon Wireless. Again, you can call to find out where these sites are, 1-877-2-RECYCLE. Again, though, I want to make sure that everyone knows, again, that alkaline batteries now should be thrown away with your regular trash. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Pauls?
Thank you, Freeholder Rafano, Freeholder Director. This past week, I had the opportunity to be asked to be a speaker at the New Hope Baptist Church. They had a wonderful celebration for Martin Luther King. They also celebrated the life of Ted Kennedy. It was a very well-attended event and certainly something that was a pleasure to be a part of. It was very uplifting and an exciting event to reflect not only on their lives, but what we can learn from their contribution to our society and how we can build a better nation moving forward. Freeholder Scott also attended that, and it was, again, a very nice event. I wanted to report, and I know that Mayor Cantu is here today, so I'm proud to report that our South County Public Safety Dispatch Initiative continues to move forward with great strength. We received our report. There's discussions now that are going on between the consultant and the communities on other issues. We'll be taking it to the next phase very shortly. But it's important to note the success thus far of this initiative insofar as it brought several communities together to discuss sharing of public safety dispatch, which is, again, something when we talk about shared services, public safety is often the area that is shied away from because it tends to be controversial and difficult to get involved in. So I want to compliment and give kudos to not only the municipal officials from those communities, South Brunswick, Plainsboro, as well as Jamesburg and Monroe, but also the public safety officials there who are willing to be open-minded to looking at ways to try to save dollars, become more efficient, and use shared services in a positive and constructive way for their community. So we will continue to report back on that. We do have a presentation to make, and I'd like to introduce a couple people who are here, but I guess I'm glad that I actually made it to tonight's meeting. I didn't know we had two freeholders who were out ill tonight. I actually ended up in the hospital last night not feeling well myself and went in for a couple of tests and got out about 3 hours ago and wasn't sure if I was actually going to make it to the meeting tonight. I share that with you not to tell you what I was doing for the last 24 hours or to look for a compliment for actually showing up, but I share it with you in the context of this. There is a national debate going on about health care. And I have to tell you how comforting it was as a government official to walk into a hospital facility, and we have great ones in this city. We are the #1 in the state and perhaps in the nation when it comes to great health care. But it was awful comforting to be able to walk in, show my card, and be able to be provided the best health care possible without any concerns about costs and tests and procedures and deductibles and so forth. It was very, very comforting. Thankfully, it hasn't happened to me that often, but I have to tell you that in the context of the debate that's going on nationally, we're very fortunate, those of us who do have great health care coverage, and there are so many out there who don't. And I think that it is a sin and a shame that we have elected officials at the federal level who can't get their act together to figure out what's right for the people of this country. And it's not something that just happened today. It's been something that's been going on for years. You know, you have Democrats pointing at Republicans and Republicans pointing at Democrats, and in my humble opinion, they're all at fault. When the Democrats were in power, we didn't have a health care plan. The Republicans were in power, we didn't have a health care plan. Now we have other people in power, and we still don't have a health care plan. It's not something that just emerged in the last year or 18 months or 2 years or 5 years. This has been going on and being discussed for 10, 15 years, and nobody's had the intestinal fortitude and the real foresight to make a project that works and a plan that works for the people of the country. And I think that that's just a shame. And those who have been there the longest should be those who should feel the most ashamed that they haven't been able to move these kinds of initiatives forward. A country of our size and breadth and depth and importance should be able to provide simple health care and be able to provide to every resident the same type of comfort that I had when I went into the emergency room last night, a simple card and the ability to be able to know that they're going to be treated in the best way possible. And if we can't collectively get our act together to do that at the federal level, I don't know why we're even trying. So it's really a shame when you think about it, and when you reflect on the work of people like Martin Luther King and Ted Kennedy and others, and you realize that we have elected officials who can't do the right thing for our people, it makes you wonder how we can do things better. So I hope
I hope, that they can somehow pull together. And I don't know what the right plan is. I can't tell you that I can, certainly espouse today what's the best, the specific plan that is the best plan for the people of the country. But with the talent and expertise that we have nationally, if we can't figure that out and get it on paper and get it approved, we're missing an awfully important chance to do something good for the people. I have one other item that I want to report on, but let me go to the presentation first. And I didn't realize that tonight we were going to kind of have that segue from healthcare to healthcare, but we're very proud tonight to have with us representatives from a new facility that's being built in Middlesex County, the University Medical Center of Princeton at Plainsboro. I became aware of this project quite some time ago in a discussion I had with Mayor Cantu. And I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned before, we are proud that Middlesex County is known as the place for health care. Well, it's going to get even better as we bring this new facility into the southern part of our county, a very well-known facility that will be growing, having the opportunity to grow by more than 2 times its current size. It will be opening a facility with over 630,000 square feet of space, over 237 single patient rooms on 50 acres of land, and the ability to grow to nearly 1 million square feet. But what's most important is it's not just a building, it's not just a facility, and it's not just a place to provide health care. It is going to become a part of the community of Plainsboro, and that came through great planning, a lot of discussions, I'm sure some disagreements that occurred along the way as well, knowing how discussions and negotiations go along. But through the mayor's efforts and through, I think, the great efforts of the university as well, of the hospital, I should say, and Barry Rabner is here today, the president and CEO, and I'm sure they had many lengthy discussions. They came up with a facility that not only is going to provide health care and be a beautiful addition and create what we really need right now, which are good job opportunities for our county, but it is going to fit into the harmony and into the vision of what Plainsboro has always seen itself to be. And I think that that's what's so critical. It's also going to be a green building, and I'll let them talk to you more about that. But as a county that is certainly committed to sustainability, to have a facility of this size constructed here that's going to be green and LEED certified is even a more significant accomplishment for Middlesex. So with that, I'd like to introduce the great mayor of the Township of Plainsboro, who really took the lead on this initiative and does great things in Plainsboro to keep Plainsboro green and a wonderful community to live in, Mayor Pete Cantu. Mayor?
Thank you, Freeholder, and thank you, Freeholder Director, for the opportunity to be here tonight and talk about a project that we're very excited about. When I walked in tonight, I saw some old friends. I haven't been here in a long time, and I ran into Jack Reiser. He said, "What are you here to pick up a check tonight, Peter?" I said, "No, not really, Jack. I'm here to talk about a project that's important to us. But if the opportunity arises, I'll be happy to come back for that duty as well in the future." So. But anyhow, I'm delighted to have with me tonight 2 representatives from the hospital. Barry Rabner, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Princeton Healthcare Systems, and Pam Hirsch, who's the Vice President for Government and Community Affairs. As the Freeholder mentioned, this is a campus project. It involves not only the development of a hospital, but also the development of the redevelopment of a major area in Plainsboro Township. It's 160 some odd acres. Obviously, the heart of that will be the development of a 600,000+ square feet state-of-the-art hospital in Plainsboro that will provide services for the entire region, frankly. We're very excited about that project. We're also excited about the commitment they've made to sustainability as part of that project and the impact that this is going to have on the economic interests of the region, not just Plainsboro Township. To give you some sense of that, during the development stages, there'll be some 3,300 construction jobs going on during the 10-year period of development of the entire site. There'll be some $190 million worth of payroll that will represent for individuals working. There'll be some $230 million worth of material purchase associated with that, and that's just during the construction phases of this project. Upon completion, we will have a facility that will represent some $1.1 billion in construction within the community of Plainsboro Township, some 4,800 permanent jobs during that period, representing some $290 million worth of payrolls and $1.2 million worth of economic activity for Plainsboro, Middlesex County, and frankly, the broader region that will be providing that benefit to. So you can understand the reason why we're very excited about this project, both from the standpoint of its health care that it's going to be providing, healthcare opportunities to be providing, but also the tremendous economic benefits that it will be providing. I don't want to dwell on this since I know Barry has a lot to present here tonight to give you a sense of what that project's about. So with that, I'll introduce Barry Radner.
Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about our project. We've been working on it for, it must be almost 7 years now. And if you've driven by the site, you'll see that we're making some great progress and see the steel up and the cement's all being, concrete's all being poured. I'd like to take a few minutes just to orient you to the site, give you a bit of a feel for what we're trying to accomplish on this healthcare campus, and then talk just briefly about some of the sustainable features. So to feel where we are, on the very bottom of the screen is the Millstone River. The road running north-south on the left side of the screen is Route 1. You can see Plainsboro Road on the bottom third of the screen, and then Scudder's Mill Road at the top. The river and Scudder's Mill, Route 1, and you might be able to see a black line off to the right where the two roads are intersecting, represents the 160-acre site. We selected the site for a number of reasons. One is it's actually closer to 70% of the people that we serve. Another is that it's only 3 miles away from the current site, so it doesn't result in any dislocation of our employees, and suggested from an environmental standpoint it's much more sustainable because people are traveling smaller distances. The area between Plainsboro Road and the Millstone River on the bottom will become a 32-acre park. There are probably a dozen buildings on there now that are slated for demolition, and they'll be replaced, and the land will be restored with indigenous plants. There'll be some modest parking and a walking trail going through the park. You can see in the upper right-hand corner of that lower area an odd-shaped building. That's going to be a 200-bed skilled nursing facility that's going to replace Merwick, our 76-bed facility in Princeton. It's being developed by a company called Windsor Healthcare. They own a number of for-profit nursing homes in the area, and we're partnering with them to develop that facility. It'll open, we think, by this August. We're very excited about that. The area directly to the north of it, we hope that the southern part of the area north of it will be developed by Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to build up to 100,000 square foot building to provide pediatric subspecialty services. We're still working on the partnership with them and have a long way to go in terms of getting the approvals, but they do great work. We partner with them now in our current facility, and they will continue to provide pediatric services in the new hospital. The area above that, we're looking at developing for long-term acute care, which is a level of care for people who are, you might picture receiving care in an intensive care unit in an acute care hospital now. The average length of stay is about 25 days, and that's all the care that's provided in that facility. And then hopefully north of that, we'll be developing an assisted living facility that's used by people who are otherwise independent but need modest levels of help, dressing and taking care of some basic needs throughout the day. The area directly to the left, to the west of that, where you see most of the buildings and parking, is the 50 acres that we're developing for the hospital. You see on the bottom of that grouping of yellow buildings a curved building. That's the patient tower. That'll open with just about 240 single-bed patient rooms. And we've designed it with the ability to add an additional 2 floors if the need arises, which would give us up to about 360 beds. The area directly below that is used for patient and visitor parking. Perpendicular to that arced building is a medical office building that's being developed by Trammell Crow. It's slated to be open at the same time as the hospital, which is, pardon me, in December 2011. have about 120,000 square feet. And it looks like even as early as we are in that building, we think we've leased near 80% of it. So we feel very good about that as well. The area to the left of it, that square building, is what we call diagnostic and treatment. 2 floors. The first floor, the southern half, is for imaging, and the northern part is for the emergency department. Our current department provides about 40,000 visits a year. The new one's being designed for 60,000, and it has the capacity to expand to 100,000. One of the things that we're particularly excited about it is there'll be separate areas there for treating children, treating people with behavioral health needs, separate area for people with more modest health needs, and then another area for more complex patients. And then on the second floor, we'll have our operatory suites and cath labs in the more high-tech areas of the building. To the left of that, you see a small rectangle. That's our central utility plant. We've concluded a transaction with NRG, a power company based in Princeton, to build just north of that rectangle a cogeneration plant. We're very excited about that for a number of reasons. One is it will significantly reduce our carbon footprint. It'll give us backup power for all of the hospital. So we'll be plugged in, if you will, to public service electric and gas, and we'll have our own ability to convert natural gas to chilled water, steam, and electricity. So if we lost public power, we have that backup, and if we lost both of those, we'll be backed up by diesel turbine generators as well. You've all remember what's happened, I'm sure, in New Orleans. We hope we've taken care of our power needs in virtually any situation. The other thing that's exciting about it is, given how much we expect pressure to increase in terms of healthcare costs and reducing them, that facility will reduce our power use by about 20%. We're also using a chilled water storage tank that will hold 1.1 million gallons of water that are through which the water is chilled during off-peak power periods, stored in the tank, and then during the hot days will be pumped through the building. The building to the far right that has a rectangle with a little square hanging off the end, it's a 2-story building. It's existing, 160,000 square feet. We're reusing that for hospital support services, a library, medical library open to the community, and obviously for our professionals, patients, and visitors. And then that square off to the right is a 2-story building that will be used for, we hope, one of 2 purposes. Either as a fitness and wellness center, it's about 50,000 square feet, or as an acute rehab hospital with about 40 beds. And we're looking to do that in partnership with Select Medical, which is a for-profit healthcare provider, national provider that has over 100 acute rehab hospitals across the United States. One of them you may be familiar with is Kessler Rehab in North Jersey. So we're excited about being able to do that with them. And above that is parking. We expect to have a helicopter pad just north of the emergency department. The hospital itself, I've mentioned the for-profit status of some of our partners because the mayor's here, and he's very anxious to make sure that we pay our fair share of taxes. The hospital itself is not for profit, but virtually all of the partners I mentioned are for profit and will be paying taxes. I'll skip that. It's an image of the exterior of the building on its southern side. For purposes of sustainability, we've positioned the building so that it faces south so that we can maximize the amount of natural light coming into the building. In fact, 90% of the space in the building will have natural light. And then we've put into place control systems that'll actually automatically reduce the amount of artificial light so that we're always taking advantage of the natural light. That's the good news. The bad news is you end up creating this huge solar furnace, and we've tried to deal with that in a number of ways. One is, and you can't quite make it out on this drawing, but between every floor there are horizontal shades that project out about 4 feet from the surface, which will reduce the amount of direct light coming into the building. And then through the use of films, interior shades, and certain gases that are used inside the layers of glass that go along the front of the building. We think we've done a great job at reducing heat gain. We've gotten some great support from Public Service Electric and Gas. In fact, they've given us a grant of over $7 million to help us with what adds up to be $60 million in sustainable features in the building. And they range from everything from the horizontal shades that I mentioned, to the cogeneration plant, to high-efficiency motors, high-efficiency generators, even to the smallest detail like not using belts but using direct drive systems in powering the building. And they all contribute enormously to reducing the carbon footprint. So we're excited about their support. The Board of Public Utilities has supported us with a grant of around $2 million that is also being used to offset the costs, particularly for the cogeneration plant. We're also putting in place, I should have pointed it out earlier, sorry, when you go back to the image of the hospital building, the upper right-hand gray area, the upper right-hand gray parking area, will actually, we hope, have a field of photovoltaic cells that will be mounted on 15-foot tall columns that will produce about 150 megawatts of electric power for us. And gotten great support for that as well. Our employees will be parking under that, and we expect to replace our current fleet of vehicles with electric vehicles that will in fact plug into the column that's supporting the photovoltaic cells to get their power. And that'll include everything from golf carts that'll pick up people who are parking to the vehicles we use for picking up patients and supplies and other things that you'd expect on the hospital site. One of the other things that was important to us from the very beginning is that we buy as much of the materials that we use in construction from vendors within 400 miles of the hospital. The sustainable benefits of avoiding all those, moving all those things from great distances is significant. We're tied in well with public transit, and we're ready when there's bus rapid transit. We've got a station all picked out on the site for that. So I think we've covered that base well.
Let me just mention on that, Freeholders as well, Steve Fattanti's been working with Plainsboro, and we've already announced that the shuttle that we implemented, the Monroe shuttle as we call it, which we began 2 years ago, the route's going to be modified now to be able to actually pick up or bring employees or users of the hospital beginning in May of this year. So the county will actually be part of the transportation network that will be servicing the hospital.
I mentioned briefly the 32-acre park, but the entire site will be planting with indigenous plants and doing everything we can to avoid the use of pesticides and fertilizers. We will not be using any artificial irrigation systems, and we think altogether that's going to make for a very responsible campus. We are not seeking LEED certification. For those of you who are aware of that, LEED is a national organization that has set standards for sustainability. We've been following the LEED standards. We've just not applied for the certification. And we believe that by the time we're done, we will at the very least be equivalent to a LEED Silver certified building. And if we nail it, it could be as much as platinum, which would be one of the few hospitals in the United States who have achieved that level of sustainability. It's important to us. What we hope people understand and hope to share with them from our experiences, every sustainable feature that we've built into this project has a financial return in less than 15 years. So it is great business for us. It materially reduces our costs, materially reduces our impact on the environment, and has us being a good neighbor in Plainsboro. So it really has worked out so far. to meet all of our goals and hopefully the townships. Can I answer any questions for you? I know I've taken a lot of your time, and thank you for that.
I don't have any questions. I wanted to say, Mayor, I can understand why you're so excited about the project. It really is. It's terrific, and I know we're happy to have you here in Middlesex County. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abner. And Mayor, I also want to recognize Pam Hirsch, who's here, who's the Vice President of Government Affairs. She's been working with us, and appreciate all your efforts in this initiative as well. I may have a couple questions, but they're relating to resolutions, so I guess I'll wait till we get to resolutions. And with that, I'll close my report.
Okay, thank you. Freeholder Deputy Director Ron Rios.
Thank you, Director. As far as the Mosquito Commission goes, our employees have continued to perform field revisions of breeding sites around the county, and this is where we start catching up on maintenance on all our equipment. As far as our Raritan Bay Mental Health Services, our partial care program and thrift store, Sales by the Bay, has a new area called the Career Gear by the Bay, and it offers suits and dresses and other items, especially for job seekers, and we encourage anyone using the thrift store now, and anyone that would like to drop by, please drop by and purchase different items that we have for sale there for that. And anyone who wants to donate, you can donate any kind of items, whether they be suits, ties, dresses, briefcases, and handbags, and any other kind of wares that people might be able to use. As far as our vocational school report goes, the superintendent's pleased to report that our Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Technology has been singled out for outstanding recognition again. This is our third year in a row for this achievement, where we have been listed in the U.S. News and World Report as one of the country's best high schools for 2010. Over 21,000 schools from 48 states were analyzed, and only 41 from New Jersey achieved the recognition of gold, silver, or bronze. So again, this is another great thing that our vocational school system is accomplishing, and all our students there. And also, we are involved, we have 2 students that are awarded a grant internship program in conjunction with NJAC and Walmart, and our 2 interns that were selected, that applied for the program is Carrie Ann Wickert from the East Brunswick campus, and Antonio de La Paz from the Academy of the Health and Biomedical Sciences Academy. They will start their internship at Rutgers Extension Services. They will complete 50 hours each, and they will receive a $500 stipend for this. They will be involved in research for wind and solar projects, also involved with Rutgers engineers. They will be working with our Mr. Bill Halubik on various projects over there. And when they complete their internship, we will bring them into our Board of Freeholders meeting for recognition on that. Our college president gave a State of the College address the other day, and again, great things are happening in our county college. Our enrollment continues to increase, and that's a credit to the great education that we're providing through our county college. As far as our health report goes, this past Wednesday, yesterday, we had a H1N1 clinic that we had at the East Brunswick Square Mall, and it was from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We had over 2,460 citizens that received the H1N1 immunization, and it was a cooperative effort between many people. It shows how great partnerships and teamwork, how great things can be accomplished through our public health department, our emergency management, medical reserve corps, our citizens emergency response team volunteers, the East Brunswick Police Department, the East Brunswick Rescue Squad. I'd like to thank every one of those individuals. Again, the Public Health Department, the county and East Brunswick OEMs, the MRC, the CERT volunteers, Police Department from East Brunswick and Rescue Squad, and Brunswick Square Mall also. They didn't charge anyone a fee for using their facility, and people were, it was a tremendous turnout. People were very pleased with the service that they were providing and how efficient and professional it was. People were commenting to many people besides myself how professional it was run and the friendly service that they received. We're having other clinics throughout the county at East Brunswick, Monroe, Perth Amboy, Plainsboro, Sayreville, Denellen, Edison, Carteret, and Old Bridge. And that concludes my report, Director.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Millie Scott?
Thank you, Freeholders Director. I attended two Civil Rights Commission's programs of Martin Luther King, one that Freeholder Polis talked about in Metuchen and one in Piscataway. You know, the civil rights demonstrations in the 60s, it was a civil unrest in the United States. And it gave, the struggle was a struggle that was nonviolent struggle. Some of us sitting up here, if it wasn't for those civil rights struggles, we would not be sitting here, whether it be race or gender. So it was very important for us to attend these programs, and I think there's hope still going on throughout the nation. And right now we're looking at Haiti. And there was a poem by Dr. Martin Luther King, and it was an imaginary letter to St. Paul. And in this letter, he says that, you know, we have become a neighborhood, but still, we're still working on brotherhood. And what we're seeing in Haiti now, yes, we are a neighborhood, but we are a brotherhood. And I think we've made some long strides in that. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is Monmouth County. Right now, we're talking with Monmouth County officials, the juvenile facility, and hoping to take over their juveniles into our facility, which will help Monmouth County and also bring revenue into Middlesex County. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. At this point, I'd like to move on to commemorative resolutions. I think we have two.
Recognizing the Piscataway Civil Rights Commission and the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Freeholder Scott presented that resolution at an event on January 17th. Recognizing the New Hope Baptist Church, Second Baptist Church of Metuchen, the Metuchen Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Metuchen Edison Woodbridge YMCA as they honor the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Freeholder Scott presented that at an event on January 17th.
Thank you. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes. Correspondence?
Each freeholder has been provided with a list of correspondence received by the clerk's office since our last meeting. This correspondence will be kept on file in the office of the clerk of the board for reference.
I need a motion to accept the correspondence.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Freeholder Director, one question. When we spoke about that, were there certain items that were going to be accepted from that and still read?
There weren't any on the list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why. But when it comes up, we will definitely do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Resolutions to be amended?
There are none.
Resolutions to be added?
There are none.
Resolutions to be held?
There are none.
Resolutions to be voided?
There are none.
That's good. Okay, now it's time for public discussion on resolutions listed on the agenda. Remember, there's a 5-minute rule. First call, second call. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any requests from freeholders to remove resolutions from the consent agenda?
I have one, Director, 1097.
Okay. I have 4, 1062, 1064, 1071, and 10167.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I have two, and then I have a question on two. 10187 and 10188.
187 and 188? Okay. Okay.
Motion to adopt?
I think Jimmy did.
Yeah, Jimmy has 2 questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My question, and forgive me, I wasn't able to call anybody today, as I mentioned to you, I just, thankfully I'm fine, it was just, I thought it was pneumonia, but it wasn't. 1097 and 10167, this stuff came on after we had the budget presentation the other day, and I'm just questioning whether or not we should put these on hold until we get closer to budget adoption. I'm concerned, given what was discussed the other day, both, certainly in the public presentation with respect to our budget considerations, John. If we're funding design of something that we may not have the money to build, maybe we'd be better off waiting until we get through the budget process to determine whether or not we can actually afford to build it.
Well, why don't we, I'd like to call on it, if I can, Ralph Albin here to at least explain the project, and particular,
No, it's
167, 168.
No, 1060, no, 1097 and 10167.
97.
It's hiring an engineer to start design of a road project, and I guess what I'm suggesting is, I'm sorry, I thought it was to fund it. Oh, I apologize, my mistake, I'm sorry, I thought it was to fund the design of it, my apologies. Then the only other one I have a question about is this 10167. If we shouldn't just hold the project until we get a better sense of where we're at financially, I mean, that's nearly $2 million that we could use towards projects. We haven't really prioritized what our road projects are for 2010, and given the current state of the budget, I'm just suggesting to the board that we put this on hold until we get closer to budget approval to determine whether or not we can afford to do it.
I don't believe this particular project, I think it was funded last year, John?
Well, it's in funds from last year.
Is that 1057 you're saying?
167. Right, but I'm just saying, given what we're looking at now, what John mentioned the other day, we have some issues going forward. We don't even know if we're going to be able to afford capital projects this year. So what I'm suggesting is until we can prioritize what we want to do this year and what we've got, maybe we should hold. That's a significant project.
What project is that, John? What's involved in that project?
10167. 10167, John.
Trenton Road, Old Trenton Road.
Yep.
Okay.
This is a very long-term project. You know, all of our long-term projects are based upon need and safety. This project was started years ago. The engineering was started, the engineering was completed, the permits were obtained, the right-of-way was obtained, and wherever we have problems where there's drainage, you really have serious problems. One of the worst problems we ever had in the county was Texas Road. Texas Road had no drainage, and with some asphalt work done, but there was ditches alongside the road, and somebody fell into it, and I think we had like a $12 million judgment.
Well, I understand that.
You know, if you pull a project like this, the engineering gets stale, permits become obsolete, you have to extend them if you can, and chances are they'll change the criteria on you, and then you have to re-engineer a lot, so it's not a simple thing.
Does that happen in 90 days?
Oh, 90 days, I think we look at 90 days.
I don't know, my feeling as chairman of finance, given the fact that this has already been financed, and what, last year, I believe, or the year before?
My only recommendation, and what Freehold is saying, is that as we develop our 2010 plan, I would agree that, we need to scrutinize that very closely. I know that John, from the standpoint of all his engineering projects, when it comes to road work, bridge work, they have a priority list that they work from, that they implement as the funding becomes available. And I would just recommend that, since this is one project that, as John has indicated, all the acquisitions have been made, and the priority and the safety from the standpoint of the drainage and the flooding, I would suggest that we proceed with that. But I do concur with Freehold that I think when it comes to existing capital projects that we have in 2010 proposed, we need to scrutinize those very closely.
I mean, if you're going to scrutinize anything, you really should scrutinize the 2010 budget, because these projects have been going for a long, long time.
So this is underway already?
The engineering is.
Oh, the engineering. But we haven't awarded the contract. Right, I understand.
It's like,
So in other words, we have a lot of money already, that we have already committed towards this project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does
And
that
again,
answer your
I
question?
just, I don't, well, it does. I only suggest it because we have an opportunity to perhaps use that $2 million if the board feels that there's something that's even of a higher priority that might be safety-related in the 2010 year, and we don't know that yet because we haven't gone through those projects, and we won't be able to recoup that $2 million if we spend it without having analyzed its priority vis-à-vis the other projects going forward. And given our fiscal constraints, I just think we have to think things a little bit differently than we normally would, which is, we've gone this far, we should just go the rest of the way. I'm suggesting maybe we should just put a hold on it for 90 days, but that's up to the board.
Okay. I'm satisfied to proceed with it tonight. I don't know what the rest of the board's feeling is.
I agree. I think being that we, as Mr. Reiser mentioned, that we are committed already, we've committed so much money already into the project, and being a safety factor, and I can understand what Freeholder Paulus is saying, but at this point, I think we're committed, and I would prefer to proceed.
I guess the question then at this point is, do you want that read separately, Jim? Or?
If you take the $2 million out, for example, what can you accomplish in a year or 2 years with $2 million? Probably take you 2 or 3 years to do another project to spend $2 million.
Well, right, but what,
You have something ready to go.
well, that's, I think, what we haven't really discussed yet is we have $57 million worth of capital projects slated for 2010. I don't know how many of them we can afford, so $2 million can go a long way to pay for some of those theoretically. So that's my thing.
I guess the question I have, do you want to read that separately, or do you
Yeah,
want?
well, you already called for it to be read separately.
I called for it. No. No. I just.
Oh, I thought somebody did
You
before.
said you had a question about it.
No, I'm
I
so-
did because
you
I have a
did.
conflict.
So
Yes.
it's already going to be read separately?
Yeah, but it's going to
Okay.
be part of my group. So okay.
Okay.
Well, what I'll do is I'll call that one actually separately from,
Oh, okay.
separate from separate.
That works.
Separate from the separate.
Separate from the separate.
And again, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying we should wait 60 days until we've had a chance to review it with our other priorities. I just want to be clear on that. But thank you for.
Excuse me, I have a question. How long ago was this put on the list?
I would guess 3 or 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Well, I don't have the data, it's an older ordinance. Ordinance 366.
It's before 2009, 2008 capital funds. Oh, for sure. Because the engineering took a long time to complete it. So you're talking about a project that's probably started 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe longer than that. I don't have the dates yet.
Okay. Mr. Kelso?
Yeah, unless there's any other questions from Freeholder Polis?
No, thank you.
A motion would be in order to accept the consent agenda consisting of resolutions 10-45 through 10-195, and excluding resolutions 1097, resolution 10-187, and 10-188, and resolutions 1062, 1064, 1071, and 10-167 to be voted upon separately.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, second by Freeholder Barrett. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes.
Now, Freeholder Director, would be appropriate to consider the resolution which was excluded by Freeholder Barrett, and that would be Resolution 10-97.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Scott. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett,
Present, not voting.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes.
And now, Freeholder Director, would be appropriate to consider the two resolutions which were excluded by Freeholder Polis, and those would be Resolutions 10-187 and 10-188.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Present not voting, I've done management work for them in the past.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes.
And now would be appropriate to consider 3 of the 4 resolutions which were excluded by Freeholder Rafano, and that's Resolutions 10-67, 10-64, and 10-71, and does not include the resolution which Freeholder Polis had questions on. We'll do that.
62, not 67.
I'm sorry, 62, 64, and 71.
Right. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Present not voting.
And then finally, we will consider Resolution 10-167, which is the resolution that was just discussed.
Okay. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
No.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
President not voting because of a conflict.
That's it.
Okay, anybody from the public would like to comment on anything? I know you couldn't hold out. Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Richard Stewart, New Brunswick. Did I understand you to say that in connection with the agenda, there is a 5-minute limit now? Is that something new?
No.
No, it's always been there.
I don't recall ever hearing it in all the years I've been coming here, any limit on the agenda. We're not talking about later on, because what if you had 10 items on the agenda? Normally we don't, but I never heard that, or maybe it was just never being enforced.
There's been a 5-minute rule now for several years.
Something I wanted to ask about the, I haven't been able to attend some of the budget discussions, but I have brought up the question before about the bus or trolley system going into the correction center for visitors. Before, I think it was said that the funding wasn't there to change the route. Has that been taken care of?
Does the trolley go into the correction center right now? The answer is no. Does not.
What about the new budget?
Comment.
Has it been provided?
It's not going to be any easier from a financial standpoint, because some of the revenues that support the program have also been impacted. So obviously, I think the challenge is going to be to, where we can, we would, but we won't know that answer.
Yeah. I hope you're aware, though, that you're running these buses all over the country. The problem for people that don't have cars and that are going to visit, the visitors are not accused of any wrongdoing. The visitors are, whether they're friends or family, that is a long walk. And if any one of you disputes that, I would like you to go out there and park out at 1:30 and walk in, or go into the correction center and park and walk out to 1:30 and walk back again. If you do it in nice weather, it's a long walk. Cold weather, all during the winter here, it is not. If it's rain, it is not. And I don't know why this hasn't been dealt with long ago.
I think the answer that the administrator gave was the appropriate answer. That we'll certainly, the financial condition that we're in right now, there probably are no plans to provide that service.
But you've got these buses running every direction now that they never did before. So if you can find the money to send the buses all over the other places, I don't see why. You have a bus that's going down there, but it's just not going in to the correction center. I would hope that you give that some second thought,
Yeah, we can
because it
certainly
is,
we'll look at it.
because I say, the families and families with small children are not to be punished. I don't feel they're not to be punished for.
Like I said, we'll take a look at it. Anybody else from the public?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Rios, seconded by Freeholder Barrett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.